performance, that performance on uh that performance on Saturday, very reminiscent of stat lines from both Steph Curry and or Larry Bird. All right, I saw Larry Bird have a lot of 32s, 9s, and 8s, and it's just the way it went down. Larry also got them blocks. Caitlin blocks shots in this league. She does.
There was a stretch not too long ago where Caitlin Clark put together one of those performances that reminded everybody exactly why she had become the most talked about player in women's basketball. Coming back from a quad injury, she dropped 32 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, and dished out 9 assists in a blowout against the New York Liberty, the reigning WNBA champions, at that point helping the Indiana Fever pull off a 102-88 victory. She connected on 7 out of 14 attempts from beyond the arc, and the way she did it drew immediate comparisons to some of the sharpest shooters the game has ever produced. It was the kind of game that reminded people she was not just talented, she was built different from pretty much everyone else in the league at that time.
League. She does. Before we jump straight into what she said, she also made some other comments that has garnered the attention of pro golf. Let's take a look at this. PGA Tour Pro emphatically answers Caitlin Clark's open question. Of course, the U.S. Open was over the weekend. Caitlin Clark, massive golf fan. She loves to play. She played in a Pro-Am last year.
The Liberty were no pushover, and Clark had just come back from being sidelined, but none of that slowed her down for a single second. The Steph Curry comparison had been floating around for a while before that game, but the performance basically locked it in for a lot of people. Clark was launching shots from the same kind of absurd range that Curry was known for, well past the three-point line, sometimes several feet beyond it, with the same kind of easy confidence. But she wasn't just a shooter.
Massive golf fan. She loves to play. She played in a Pro-Am last year, and that garnered a ton of attention. Well, her comment garnered a ton of attention, including a PGA winner literally answering her comment here. Now, Oakmont, I can tell you right now, my God, it was, especially the first couple of 3 days. Oh, that is one tough-ass course. It is. The roughs. It's, I mean, at one point,
the playmaking, the court vision, the way she could thread a pass or make a defender bite and then pull up, all of that pushed people to start layering in Larry Bird as well. Bird had been famous for exactly that kind of combined output, big scoring nights paired with elite passing and even the occasional blocked shot. Clark was blocking shots too, which was not something most guards in the WNBA could say. Her stat line started mirroring Bird's pattern almost exactly, the 32s, the 9s, the 8s, game after game.
Roughs. It's, I mean, at one point I checked in yesterday, the leader had a -3. All right, and not a lot of -12s in that. The U.S. Open is always known to be rough, boy, and not literally the rough and a rough play. So let's check this out. All right, so during the weather-related suspension because of tough playing conditions at Oakmont, Clark took to her X, which has 530,000 followers.
Some people even threw in a Michael Jordan comparison just for the branding and competitive fire side of things. The release time on her jump shot had already been clocked as nearly identical to Curry's, which was a pretty wild thing to put on paper when you actually sat down and thought about it. Around the same time, Clark's comments about a potential shooting contest with Curry started circulating. The question had come up during an interview, and she handled it with the kind of casual humor that had become her trademark off the court.
30,000 followers to give her take about the course. She said, quote, "Is Oakmont even fun to play? I'd shoot 130 easily." Her playful commentary received over 2.4 million views. Wow. I knew it had to be a bunch because she's got 25,000 likes on this thing, including one from PGA Tour winner.
Asked who would win a head-to-head shootout between herself and Curry, she smiled and said it would probably be Steph, but that she would simply be happy to be in the same conversation. When someone pushed further and asked whether she could outshoot LeBron James in a three-point contest, she backed off a little and said she wasn't sure about that one. A lot of people who watched that clip disagreed with her completely. LeBron is a solid shooter, no question, but he has never been the kind of pure three-point specialist that someone like Curry, Bird, Reggie Miller, Chris Mullin, or Klay Thompson was.
Tour winner Michael Kim, who happened to be among those who played 4 rounds at Oakmont this weekend, he answered, quote, "I promise you, it's not fun." There's no doubt that Oakmont didn't give Kim much leeway. 31-year-old tied for 50th place, shooting 14 over par. It's not a coincidence that Caitlin Clark was following the U.S. Open, as her connection with
Those were the guys who lived beyond the arc, the ones defenses had to account for the moment they crossed half court. Clark, on the other hand, was being compared to all of them for exactly that reason. The general feeling was that she would have handled LeBron pretty convincingly in that kind of setting, and most people watching would have put their money on her without a second thought. The possibility of Clark actually participating in a three-point contest during All-Star Weekend was generating serious buzz at the time, especially because the festivities were being held in Indianapolis, her home turf.
It's not a coincidence that Caitlin Clark was following the U.S. Open, as her connection with golf is widely known. While she's not trading her sneakers for spikes anytime soon, Clark's participation in golf's event has showcased her enthusiasm for the sport. Last year, Clark played in the Pro-Am. Of course, that was the LPGA Tour's the Annika Drive, and that's hosted, of course, by Annika Sorenstam. So, you know, and she's one of the greatest women.
Sabrina Ionescu had already done a shooting contest against Curry the previous year, so there was already a precedent for crossover events between the WNBA and NBA. The thinking was that league officials like Adam Silver and WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert would have every reason to push for Clark's involvement purely from a ratings standpoint. And the numbers would have backed that up. There was a strong argument being made that Clark in a three-point contest would pull in more viewers than the NBA's own version of the event, let alone the slam dunk contest, which had turned into something most people skipped over entirely.
So, you know, and she's one of the greatest women's golfers ever. But I thought that was pretty interesting. So, potential shootout with Steph Curry. It's something we wonder if we're going to be able to see during the All-Star break. Of course, Sabrina Ionescu, Steph Curry already had a shootout. So let's see what she's got to say. Caitlin Clark recently returned from a quad injury and in an all-important class.
The dunk contest used to be one of the most must-watch events of the whole All-Star weekend, back when guys like Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins were throwing down. By this point, though, none of the actual superstars in the league wanted anything to do with it anymore, and the event had basically become background noise. The irony was not lost on anyone that a women's basketball player in a shooting contest could genuinely outperform the NBA's own showcase event in terms of who was actually watching. Clark's name also popped up during the U.S. Open golf tournament around that same period.
Actually had declined to take part in the event at all. Now, it is not unlike Caitlin Clark to decline situations, because we know she did not want to take part in the Unrivaled League as well. Seemed like to me, Caitlin Clark is definitely taking her time and pretty much minding her own business, bro. Well, I'm here to tell you, it looked like it has definitely affected the NBA, because they will not be cashing in on the Caitlin Clark effect, because Shams went to
The event was being played at Oakmont, which turned out to be an absolutely brutal course that weekend. The conditions were so rough that play was suspended at one point due to weather, and the scores were piling up in the ugly direction at one stretch. The leader was sitting at just 3 under par, with hardly anyone anywhere close to that. Clark, who was a well-known golf enthusiast and had played in an LPGA Pro-Am event the year before, one that was hosted by Annika Sorenstam, decided to weigh in on social media during the suspension.
To Twitter about 45 minutes ago, dropped a major bombshell on the world that the three-point contest between Sabrina Ionescu, Stephen Curry has been canceled. Yes, you heard me correctly. He stated, WNBA shootout with Stephen Curry and Sabrina Ionescu is off. NBA's Mike Bass stated, weren't able to land on a plan we thought would raise the bar of the last year's.
She posted on X, which had about 530,000 followers at the time, and asked whether Oakmont was even fun to play, adding that she would shoot 130 on it easily. The post was clearly a joke, but it blew up anyway, landing over 2.4 million views and racking up around 25,000 likes. One of those likes came from PGA Tour winner Michael Kim, who had just finished playing 4 rounds at Oakmont himself.
Raised the bar of the last year's special moment. We all agreed not to proceed and will instead keep the focus on All-Star Sunday, new format. Wow. It's just all I can say, guys, because they thought they had one. Oh, they thought they was good to go. Caitlin Clark was going to do this thing. They was going to make a ton of money. Well, I'm here to tell you that is not the case. This one is a shocker, bro.
He responded directly to Clark's comment with a pretty blunt answer. He promised her it was not fun. Kim had finished tied for 50th, 14 over par, so he had earned the right to say that. Clark's golf enthusiasm was well documented. At that point, she genuinely loved the sport and followed it closely, and the whole little exchange just added another layer to the public image she had built beyond basketball.
Not the case. This one is a shocker, bro. Somebody said, thank you enough, Steph, doing for what you did, only to get treated worse than a 10-day contract player F this league and that silver. Oh, my God. So this is the event from last year right here, y'all. So this is some of the event right here that's playing of last year's three-point contest. Sabrina was hitting them, too. She was red hot. Look at her. Chop, 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 knocking them down. Now, I actually remember when this thing went down, man. It's unfortunate.
The bigger conversation underneath all of it was really about what the WNBA could do with Clark's star power if it actually leaned into it the right way. She was the kind of player who made people tune in, who made other athletes want to watch, who could carry an event on her own just by showing up. The three-point contest idea was a perfect example of that, a relatively simple concept that could have drawn massive numbers just because of who was involved.
It's unfortunate that it's canceled. I would have loved to see the W and the NBA come together on something, but it seemed like Caitlin Clark is the tide that rides all boats. They're canceling this thing, I'm telling you right now, because Caitlin Clark did not take part in it. So Sabrina Ionescu is not enough to bring that viewership where it need to be. Them having Caitlin Clark there would have broke all type of damn viewing records. Her versus Steph Curry. Somebody said, would have loved to.
Whether it ever actually happened or not, the fact that people were seriously debating it said something about where Clark sat in the bigger picture of American sports at that moment. Looking back on it now, one of the more surprising moves that came out of NBA All-Star Weekend planning was when the league quietly pulled the plug on the cross-league three-point shootout. The event had originally been set up as a matchup between Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, but the whole thing fell apart once it became clear that Caitlin Clark was not going to be a part of it.
Steph Curry. Somebody said, we'd love to see Steph again, but they can't call Caitlin or Enrique somebody else. The NBA has ruined the All-Star game. Whatever happened to the best players in the world playing a competitive game of basketball? Somebody said, who will watch this? Somebody said, should do a Sabrina versus Caitlin for NBA All-Star Weekend. Now, I kind of respect Caitlin Clark's decision to not, take part in this, because Caitlin Clark
had already made her decision known about a week before the cancellation was announced, and once that happened, the NBA essentially lost whatever momentum the event had built up. The news officially dropped when Shams Charania posted about it, spelling out that the shootout was done. The league's own Mike Bass put out a statement not long after, saying they just could not put together something they felt would top what happened the previous year.
Decision to not, take part in this, because Caitlin Clark want to show love to the WNBA. Now, how come Steph Curry can't come over to the W All-Star game and do this three-point contest? Seems like everybody want to use these ladies now, since they the hottest thing in all sports. We know the viewership for the W is going to be through the roof. People say what they want. These viewership numbers for the W is going to be at an all-time high. It's going to be record-breaking in itself. And it is definitely going to be worth.
Everyone involved agreed it made more sense to step back and let All-Star Sunday hold the spotlight on its own. That statement pretty much confirmed what a lot of people had already been suspecting, that without Clark in the picture, the whole concept just did not have enough pull to justify moving forward. Clark's choice to sit this one out was not exactly out of character for her.
Going to be worth watching, and I'm telling you right now, I believe it is going to break all records, dog. Now, it's just unfortunate that the NBA couldn't capitalize another way from including the W into the NBA. Instead, y'all wanted to use Caitlin Clark, and it's just looking spooky, bro. I can't even lie. Like, this whole thing is looking spooky. Let's check out what they're saying on Twitter, because it's all type of stuff coming out the pipeline.